Hello, I'm Christina Cote, and for those who don't already know me, I'm a Title I Education Programs Professional with the Nevada Department of Education. Today, I also have here
Maria Sauter. I'm the Title IVA Director for the NDE.
We will be presenting to you the recent Federal Consolidated Application ePAGE system design changes that will be launching in the upcoming 2019-20 school year.
This short module will be focused on the new Title IVA application requirements. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the module learning objectives.
By the end of this training section, you should be able to identify and navigate the new feature changes to the following Title I Part A ePAGE sections. We're basically going to go over the new Title IV Part A grant. This module will follow a general format. First, we'll summarize the system interface changes for each of the enhancements listed, and then we'll pull up the ePAGE testing environment to show you what the new pages look like. So let's go ahead and get started.
As you all know, the NDE runs both paper and electronic grant management systems. This is not an ideal approach and one we are striving to eliminate. Historically, Title IVA has been managed outside of the ePAGE system. As it is in most SEAs, Title IVA should have been part of the Federal Consolidated Application. Using alignment and consistency in our approach, one of the key opportunities our NDE consolidated team had identified in fiscal year 20 was to move Title IVA into our consolidated application. There are 6 pages that comprise the new Title IVA grant section of the consolidated application. We will take a look at each of the new pages over the course of this module.
So let's take at the first one, which is the budget page. As you can see in the screenshot, there's a new budget meta tag available in a drop-down menu. You will be required to select one of the expense areas available as associated to the expense detail identified in the budget line item. We'll look at this further during the demonstration. There's also a section that you might be familiar with if you manage other grants in the Consolidated Application, which is called the Budget Overview page. Once districts build out their budgets, stakeholders can review their budgets broken out by function code and object codes in a summary screenshot.
The next page is the Program Administration page. The purpose of the Program Administration page is to ensure the subrecipients meet the federal criteria of the grant by providing key data and information. The Program Administration page is broken out into 3 main areas: stakeholder consultation, distribution of funds, and SMS.
Or a supplement, not supplant.
And all 3 sections are required in order to successfully submit your application for approval.
Title IV Part A is subject to equitable services for non-public or private schools. Please see Module 2 for further detail around this section. For districts who do not serve non-public schools, users will just need to select the non-applicable box on this page. If your district does serve non-public students through the consultation process, please refer to Module number 2 for further guidance.
The program description page is intended to provide an overview of the purpose of the identified cost described in the budget as it relates to the district's strategic plan. In other words, this is the body of the application. If your district receives less than $30,000 in Title IVA, this description will only need to be submitted in the administrative cost section of the page. If your district receives more than $30,000 in Title IVA, all 3 subsections must be completed on this page as instructed. The Related Documents page. By default, each grant in the Consolidated Application includes a Related Documents section. At this time, however, there are no requirements to upload.
All right, let's go ahead and take a quick peek at these new features in the live environment. Once the Federal Consolidated Application has been pushed into the production site, you too can use this module as a helpful guide to help navigate to the enhancements we're going to be demonstrating here in a second. So I'm going to change my screen over to our testing environment. So as you can see here, this is our FY20 new consolidated application. All the different grants are listed on ePAGE in this consolidated application, and I'm going to scroll down towards the bottom of the application to the new Title IV-A Academic Enrichment section. We're going to go through each of these sections one at a time. The first section is the budget section. Click on the section to open up the new page. So you may be familiar with the budget in ePAGE. If not, please reach out to Maria for additional technical assistance. But as I go through, just like what you have done in paper, you're going to modify the applicable object code and insert the budget detail for whatever resource request you're going to use out of the Title IV-A grant. So here's an example of a budget page that has not been built for salaries. I'm going to click the Add Budget Detail link, wait for the system to catch up. And then you can see it's broken up into two key sections, the budget detail information and the narrative description. Similarly, what you probably are familiar with in paper grants, or if you have other grants in ePAGE. The object codes and the function codes are noted. This expense area is the brand new area that we were discussing during the presentation. It's a new meta tag. So as you build your budget, you're going to select one of these key Title IV-A expense areas: administrative costs, private schools, safe and healthy schools, effective use of technology, or well-rounded educational opportunities. All you do is click on the Select Tag button, and I'm going to pretend it's something for safe and healthy. Click on that and continue to build my budget accordingly for Title IV-A. If you are a district that is identified as part of our pilot, Douglas and I are Washoe, there's other training that will describe the second section meta tag. If you are not one of those districts, please ignore this area. All right, we're going to go back to our main sections to look at the next area. All right, sections. The next section is the budget overview. Once districts have built out their detailed budgets in the budget section, it actually gets automatically populated into this new budget, or not new, existing budget overview section. Since we have not created a budget with big data, we're going to show you what this would look like in another application. So this is exactly what will happen. After the budget is built out, you can see that all the object codes are listed, as well as the purpose codes across the board and the respective totals, the cumulative totals. It's a read-only page, but it's a nice summary if you'd like to look at that to see how your budget was broken out. You might use that data from a reporting standpoint. And that's the budget overview. The third section is the program administration page. I'm going to scroll back down to Title IV-A. Oops, let me go back to the right section. Here we go. Program administration. And Maria, you want to talk a little bit about this section?
Absolutely. So the three sections again are the consultation, and you will just check as many as apply that of those people that attended the consultation that is required on the use of these funds and the planning for the use of those funds. The second section is the distribution of funds. And this is to make sure that we are meeting the criteria of the schools that need the most support in this area. So you would choose how you are choosing to use the funds. You check on the boxes. And the last one is supplement, not supplant, my wonderful SNS. And it's simply stating that none of the funds are being used to supplant other state initiatives.
And you would just click the checkbox after. It's an assurance,
yep.
Basically. All right, thank you, Maria. We're going to go back to the sections and look at the non-public section. So the eligible non-public services section is, again, for private schools that the district might be servicing through the consultative process. If your district does not have any private schools, you would just click this not applicable checkbox up here. Only if there's no school children presently residing and participating attendance areas enrolled in public schools. If you do have either non-participating schools, meaning through the consultative process, those schools do not choose to use that funding, or they're non-responsive, they haven't, through your consultation, you haven't been able to decide if they are or not, you're going to complete that section. If you have participating private school children and schools, you're going to complete the next sections. We're not going to go through too much detail on this page because we have a whole another module, Module 2, dedicated to this. So if you do have eligible non-public schools in your district that are using Title IV-A, please consult the module number 2 on that subject matter because it does include more of that navigation detail that you might need. All right, the next section is the program description section. And I'm going to scroll back down and click on that. And I'm going to ask Maria to talk a little bit more. This is, I think, the meat, as she said, of your application. So
definitely. Thank you, Christina. Yes, the program description is where you are going to actually give the narrative of how you plan on using the funds. And as we've stated before, Title IV-A funds are broken down into 3 bucket areas: well-rounded, safe and healthy, and technology. If you have less than $30,000 allotted funds, you will just simply type your LEA's plan in the administrative box. If you receive more than $30,000, then you are allowed a 2% set aside in the admin, so you can submit your administrative plan in the administrative box. That is demonstrating. However, you are also responsible for hitting all 3 buckets. In other words, you must spend in the following 3 buckets. Well-rounded must include at least 40% of your total funding. Safe and healthy must include at least 40% of your funding. And you must spend a portion of your allotment in technology. Now, the technology has a little caveat, and that is you can only spend up to 15% of the technology funding. So let's say you spend $1,000 in technology, you are allowed to spend $150 or 10%, is that correct? I'm not a math major, on hardware. So wiring, computers, anything, solid hardware based. Software, licensing, training, PD, all of that can comprise of the other 85% of your technology bucket. So again, you must spend in all 3 if you have over $30,000 in award. And the directions are clearly at the top of each of those boxes to remind you of that.
Great, thanks, Maria. And as you can see here, each of these boxes, in order to edit, you're going to just click the appropriate box and then it becomes an editable box. So for example, the optional administrative costs, if you don't have any administrative costs that you're going to be using on the budget, you would just keep that blank in order to successfully submit. They're pretty self-explanatory, each of these text boxes. It does have sections in each of those boxes to list partnerships with outside organizations, as well as effectiveness of how the activities will be assessed and such. So if you have any questions, please reach out to Maria if you need additional technical assistance on this page. And then our last section here, as Maria mentioned before, is the related documents area. And at this time, the page is not currently accepting related documents. That could change through the continual improvement process if there's a need. But Maria or the Title IV-A EPP or whomever might be in place over your district would provide that guidance at that time. All right. Let's go ahead and change back to our end. All right, so that's the end of our module, Module 3. By the end, you should now be able to identify the section requirements and navigate applicable pages of the new Title IV-A grant of the Federal Consolidated Application. Thank you so much. Thanks for reviewing the self-paced module. We have created other short training modules around the Consolidated Application ePAGE changes that you can also review as applicable. If you have any further questions with regards to the new enhancements, please reach out to your director, education program professional, or grants analyst assigned to your district based on the applicable federal grant. Thanks so much, and on behalf of Maria Sauter and myself, we wish you a most fantastic day.
Thank you so much again. Talk to you soon.
Bye.